Also, this time around, they've gone with a guy from Jeremy Soul for the soundtrack.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
NPCs get an upgrade. There's now some light voice acting, and the game introduces a disposition system, meaning every NPC either likes you or hates you, depending on your personality, speechcraft, general reputation. Morrowind also introduces leveled zones. See, a ton of enemies in the last few games scaled to the player's level. You leveled up a bunch and improved your skill. Well, enough. So has everyone else. But here, certain areas will have higher level enemies, meaning exploration is more dangerous, but more rewarding as you get better. On PC, Morrowind also ships with the Elder Scrolls construction. Essentially, the original dev Bethesda had used to actually make the game. Every aspect of the game, from landscapes to graphics, and now open to modification. It's not all good though. The combat in Morrowind is incredibly clunky and works on dice rolls. Just very clearly hit that guy at point blank range. No, turns out you missed. Also, bad balancing, and there are a few things missing from Daggerfall. The lock bashing, climbing, housing in ships, banking systems, force travel, in-game holidays, legal system, and of course, again, the game is buggy, suffers from bad performance, and isn't terribly slow. But overall, Morrowind is an amazing game, and it flies off shelves.
How much?
It's revolutionary, a way bigger success than they'd ever anticipated. It sells over 4 million copies in the first 3 years. Critical acclaim, coming in from all directions. It's even crowned the Game of the Year. Because it also shipped it on the original Xbox for the first time. This is at a time where RPGs are more decent. It's now reaching a whole new market, and it goes on to be the 18th best-selling game on that console. Morrowind conjures a massive profit, and Bethesda finally has some After Morrowind, Todd is killed as Bethesda's savior, and under his direction, he brought the company back from the brink. So naturally, he's back in the cockpit for their next project. Bethesda also doubles up their workforce with some of that. They've also just gone in on YouTube. For the first time, they're playing around with the Havoc physics engine, alongside a new world.
Well, I remember that.
They're also bulking up on the voice acting. In Morrowind, only a few key characters were voiced. But here, Todd wants everyone. And subscription to the game ends up at around 40,000 lines. That's about 50 hours of game. Initially, this ends up taking over half the game's file size, so they end up having to trim thousands of voice lines and a ton of already developed gameplay, just so it is better. Like the first game, arenas were supposed to be in every single game, and it was all pretty good. But again, well, May 2000, it's easy and promises a happy. Todd jumps on the mic himself and fills us in on his new great AI system.
Let's take a look at the other side of the game, our new rating AI system. It allows NPCs to have full 24/7 schedules. These NPCs are not scripted.
Feeling stronger already.
In the demo, he shows up a couple of his aliens.
What? That really pisses me off.
There they are.
Anyway, 4 years in the oven, and on the 20th of March 2006,
Need some help.
Elder Scrolls Oblivion is finally built. And again, it's good. The combat is far better. For starters, you can now actually and when you do, the new Havoc physics engine makes it incredibly realistic. Also, if you can see something, chances are you can now pick it up and swing it around.
I love that.
The graphics are also much better. Just don't look at
Vehicle
the
reached a checkpoint. Keep
The
up
new
the
rendering
momentum.
system allows for huge load distances, meaning none of that thick fog that was literally everywhere in Morrowind. And the world is populated with luscious, thick shrubbery, thanks to a new technology called Speed. Also, again, enjoy all of this with another amazing soundtrack from Gentle Sun. While the main quest is incredibly complicated, the side quests and faction quest lines in Oblivion, sublime. They're really well written and very fun. In fact, they're generally considered to be the best in the series. The Dark Brotherhood questline is especially popular. And of course, all NPCs and voices. There's even some celebrity. However, this doesn't come without issues. There are over 1,000 NPCs in the game, and there are only around 10 voices between them. Naturally, we've been hearing some of those voices. One guy alone voices
random people that have like a good voice. Like, I know a friend that has a female voice like that. This pitch. Amazing. Dude, he said they can't act. Brother, they had to talk. They do some voices in there. What are you talking about?
bring some of those voices. One guy alone voices every single guard in the game, and a ton of other characters.
Stop right there, criminal scum! Stop! You violated the law. I'm a guard, and I love
Oh,
my
that wasn't in the
job.
game as a demo.
You run into trouble, come find me.
Players also notice some of the voice acting isn't amazing.
Oh, there's a voice actor gatekeeping thing? Is that true?
Turns out, when recording the voice lines, Bethesda had opted not to go in order of conversations, characters.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
You don't have to be a witch to find the magic in this world, but it does help.
Oh, stop this. Man, you're too good for it. You're too good for it. Very good. Amazing speech play. I'm rating this speech play.
Let's
the
see if
speed
I
that
can
it
remember
came out.
that new
10
spell.
30 seconds before you attack.
This is
Get ready.
beautiful, beautiful. The thought process, thinking of all the creative ways. Stop it.
Few
I gotta
mortals
have a
are
word with him
so
after this.
adept
You
with
asked,
chaos
I'm
magic.
delivering.
You have caught
The number
my
one
attention.
person I was recommended
Should I take
to
that as a
review to see
compliment
how
or
good
a
they are
warning?
actually at poker, lifting the curtain, lifting the veil, was a man I'd actually never heard of before, called Hungry Horse Poker. There's so many
The battle
up-and-coming
starts in 5,
YouTubers that are just
4,
crushing the game.
3,
And so I went and watched
2,
this episode of
1.
his. So he's doing this challenge where he's playing 500 NL or 2-5 lives and seeing if he can make $100 an hour playing poker. That is tough. Like, you have to be friend with friend. All the games that you have to be playing in real play have to be friend with crap. But we're going to watch this together. We're going to see exactly how good Hungry Horse Poker is. The truth revealed. And I've not seen it. He only just released it. So watch it together. That's our first hand. You get King Kong shooting low jack, hero play.
Heads up to a flop, which comes 3, 3, deuce, a couple spades, range, shooting side, raise off the strong shape.
They're already not a fan of betting my entire range. There may be an argument for betting everything, but anything to do with it, both Bueno and Michael. Just to go back to the analogy of business, somebody is always paying what you don't want them balancing the strategy because you're saying they're not going to change their strategy. Only when it's on paper. Ergo, you have to fully exploit all of your hands in all of these different
My work
situations
here is
as
not
a true
done.
GTO style. So some hands you want to be c-betting bigger, some hands you want to be c-betting smaller. There's actually one category of hands that you want to be thinking about really a lot in these kind of situations. Let's see if we know the first.
Call with shit. Okay. So I go $25 here. Call. Turns a 7 of spades, and on this turn he can certainly have some flushes. Flush draws a little bit more on the passive side. So I'm going to choose the size here that's going to incentivize him to raise off his flushes right now. Just some weaker hands, maybe like pocket sixes or pocket fives here on this turn that are just going to call.
So it's an interesting style. It's definitely a very intelligent style. Whether it's optimal or not, whether it's good in this exact scenario is debatable. But what he's saying there is essentially he's value betting his king high against hands that are better than his, which is kind of a value bluff. And he's saying, I want these hands to full turn. So I can have the luck. There's a lot of
I am ready to put on a show!
That's particularly good. So one hand that I was hoping we were mentioning is ace high. Now there's going to be ace high on those side hands. Ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, all of these types of hands on the flop they're going to be playing the exact same way. Turn, assuming the turn is not a spade, they're going to be playing the exact same way as well. So if you can manipulate your opponent to get them to call ace high on the flop, fold it, and fold all their ace high on the turn, they're actually getting a huge portion of their range to fold. Now, because he's called out the small blind, he's also going to be very confident. A lot of people really just call like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Julius! Out of the small blind in this kind of position. That really does take full range. And that's pretty much the high range. They're a bit high. But triple barrel does make sense. I like the raising pretty often. I might use a little bit smaller just to make sure that it's not flushes raising. Maybe like 30 in turns and then blast river if I really feel like doing it. But this is definitely a pretty intelligent style of poker.
Turn and then going to have to fold with a lot of pressure on the river. So I go $50 and he puts in a call once again. River is a queen of clubs at this point. Pretty confident that he does not have a flush. He's small side. Raise all sides of the flush. I was betting for probably go around 175 and really trying to call by him pocket nines or something like that. So I go side
ace queen, which can definitely be there, almost at full frequency. Maybe he'll fold the first debatable, maybe he'll still get some free flop that depends what he's playing against. And then he's going to have to be really sure he's not running into a flush as well. Yeah, this is the problem sometimes with these bets small on the turn, bet big on the river. If you don't have a very defined range, you can end up just blasting a little bit too much mathematically. It's so possible. I'm going to rate this play before I see the result. I call it a 7.5 out of 10. For the creativity and the intelligence of it, but the actual execution of it, I think, is a little bit interesting.
Making sure the range is
still going to work.
fold. I go 375.
You're still going to get fold or fold 5, even without fading for the significant space.
Alright, guys, and this is like open to $25 but he is going to 3-bet. Every 3-bets, I ask him what he has.
I am ready to put on a show!
This is a good thing about this. Even if they say something ostensibly, seemingly random. Sometimes just make a little I don't know, but I probably not got
Oh no, I meant like your car.
You are welcome. I got back.
Was talking about the last time.
Yeah, and I take it forward again. Yeah, so it's also probably not a problem. 10 months a day, something will take.
Vehicle reached a checkpoint.
I put this call when the flop becomes king and I check it over to $60 and small size once and see what he does on the turn. And now at this point, he asks what I have.
you have to think about a good lie. I would say, I promise I'm not trapping you, or something like that. Or I'd be like, I don't know, man, nothing. You know, something that just brings the shadow of doubt that I might have flopped a set, because I actually don't want getting the turn in. So I try and like surreptitiously imply that I could have very and then regret everything I turn a set. Very good. Amazing. I'm rating this display. These that it came out. 10 out of 10 for the set. That was very impressive. It's really so.
I'm ready to put on a show.
Be the best display. I'm and I'm playing against some random guy that's a rock check. I'm probably very
I am going to check it over. Under double barrel, especially in 3-back pots. He's got something. I'm not sure he has the strongest hand. He's this size on the flop and this size on the turn. But I think he's probably got something in his light.
yeah, it feels a little bit like
So I don't really like check raise on turns for value just because it looks so strong. But I want to take the lead here. I don't want to let the river go check. I actually think maybe just leading this turn is best here for maybe 250. That actually minimizes full effort. So the check raise to 340.
the fact that he's considering leading the turn as well is like super expert. Very non-GTO obviously, if you're new to the channel. Come check out Elite University where I teach you how to play like this. And I'm doing a thing where I'm taking 20 of you to the high stakes in 2025. There are 4 seats left. So if you're interested, link in the description below. And if you can't afford the initial investment, we're even giving away 1 spot for free. There is a second link in the description below if you want to join the giveaway. It is total value of about $4,000, although the cost of
all. 7s and 4s susceptible to a lot of danger, particularly with what we know Steph has going to the river. Now the all-important river card, Jack of Diamonds. A total blank.
or it changes the luck that you have in a poker game. Just FYI, you can get better rivers if you have stronger energy. That's what we believe on this channel.
Almost 4 million in the middle. Hagberg first to act. Top.
I saw this guy in the back looking like the main character from Breaking Bad, standing there with a death face on, saying, "Go Hamburg, let go." I've just started watching Breaking Bad for the first time, so I'm like, you know, expect some references. I'm a decade too late or whatever, but it's such a funny juxtaposition between the "Go Hamburg, let go" and the guy looking there like. Alright, if you're Hamburglar here, you have to probably go like 30% pot. Maybe check. I'll probably just lock in because the raise is saying I assume that you think you're ahead.
Monster bet into 3.7 million.
What just happened? What? Did you say 3? Like million? Not like 300,000 or just 3?
Now, who am I gonna banish from this
3
match?
million in a snap call? I wouldn't be confident calling 3 million. I mean, it's a read-based thing, perhaps, or maybe just Sheena's thought process where everything bricked and 2 pairs is probably good, but check raise a turn, first and second and chips. Bombing the river. This is more of a bluff than it is a value bet. Hi-ya, that's a crazy-ass bet. And boy, you hate to get snap called if you're Hagbug. I'm gonna have to... I don't know how to rate this hand. I'm gonna rate Hagbug's play like a 2 out of 10.
Who are you talking to right now?
I liked it up until the river, but the river's like really just burning everything. Just everything. It's on fire. You've done the Joker and Batman. You've put to a huge pile of money. With 2 pair there, I would not be confident because she's representing at least ace 4, ace 3, maybe when she's going that size. It's cool.
There is the call of 3 million by Okamoto, and she takes that huge pot. The biggest of the tournament goes right through the second place player.
All the difference.
And she's cold as ice, isn't she? This is quite good to watch. She's deathly.
Has almost 18 million chips.
Queen 5 suited with the backdoor clubs.
Jen's old school enough to still call it a tray.
Had they been in the pot.
Oh, good point. Yeah, there's that ace deuce.
I guess ace deuce had folded the button, which is actually not a bad play with this stack configuration. It's been limped in the small blind, checked, and then we bet king 3. It's a stylistic thing. A lot of pros would disagree with me. I don't like limping hand like king 3 out the small blind. It really does depend how your opponent's playing. But I would generally just raise like 2.5x because people tend to overfold. Plus ICM put loads of pressure on people anyway.
Still good.
Oh, what adorable little burst of light.
For Okamoto.
Is that a
Exactly half pot here by Alcorn.
Yo, alright, so I guess there's a weird thing going on here. Alcorn can't really have any strong hands. She would have probably raised an ace pre-flop. You're technically allowed to be checking some like even suited aces in this configuration, but I don't know if somebody actually would in practice. King 10 not in there, sets not in there, not many 2 pairs because most of the cards are big cards that would have raised pre-flop, so it's really hard to have a strong hand. Don't know if Okamoto, if this hand isn't just fold turn, against a half pot there, pretty sizable bet on the final table. We'll see. Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, not surprising, it's ugly. It's the first time I've heard a commentary, I think. Very good. Getting the MDFs out there? Damn, Jen.
Basically what I mean.
A very good way to describe MDF. Jen should make a YouTube channel instead of me.
Because when they bet less than full pot and you fold too much, you just let them bluff to sort
This episode was gonna be coming across like sexist towards women, but I'm so there's 0% getting cancelled now because we have like an incredibly intellectual and intelligent woman describing in a pretty concise, precise, educational way minimum defense frequency. And we have this buffoon, I love the commentator, I don't know this, but I love it. We have this buffoon of a commentator. We have like Peter from Family Guy, and they're like, why do we need these guys down? Big fancy words for us. We just call it, try not to get pushed over at frequency.
I was completely off on that. More like turn this free.
Oh my god, I just got guys, I don't know how to say this. I might be falling in love.
Now, a disappearing.
The reasons that I said before, it's so hard for Alcorn to have a strong hand. It depends on some reads whether you think she bets too much when check to and things like that, but this is such a sexy bluff. You found a situation where you probably think your opponent's betting too thin for value, going half pot. It's not like saying that she's got like a really, and this is the same person as well that was betting huge for this game. So actually, I already have a reason. But it's probably not that strong hand. The fight is what, like, yes, you check the turn. You didn't raise crucial, but it's like, what are you going to do? The person sitting here is even like A7, right? And you're going to put all of your chips in. Oh, no, sorry. It's out. So this is a different thing. Are you going to put all of your chips in on a 1-pair holding? Most people aren't. And if she's betting queen 5 here, oh, there's no way she can didn't you, right?
I disappeared.
I mean, I would expect Okamoto has this, you know, one of the reasons he has a feeling is because there's no raise, right? So she completed and Alcorn, right? So a lot of times if you're an ace, you raise, not always, but a lot of times you kind of ace jack. Oh my gosh, even the other aces were up. So, yeah, exactly. She's got this on. She could hit a parade. I mean, she's good. Right?
Heads up. By the way, just some feedback. Do you guys like it if I kind of let the footage roll, or do you prefer it when it's skipped?
So, yeah, a pretty nice play. You'll see a lot of heads up. If the play happens in a way where your opponent doesn't have an ace that often, and there's an ace on the board, you will often see the aggressive. I don't think you have an ace. What are you gonna do? But the only thing is, Alcorn, she also is very sticky. She does not like to get bullied. I did see a little wingspan on her base, and I noticed that when she does make that wing, sometimes I think she doesn't feel like she can proceed with the hand because her opponents notice.
Damn, Jen's so good at commentary. Like, that was everything she said was just spot on. I saw the wins as well, by the way. Damn, that hand, I mean, not raising pre-flop stylistic. I personally think it's not good, so I'm gonna dock a little bit for that. I'm gonna dock a point.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
It doesn't get better than that. I'm giving this a 9. It's a 9 out of 10. It's a style of poker which works very well against people that are kind of turning their hands a little bit face up, which will happen until you hit the very high levels of poker, because people will kind of just like, you know, as a solver is like, you can do this, sometimes this, sometimes this, sometimes. People will very often do only this with a hand that kind of makes sense to do it with. And so a lot of the style of poker that I teach is very good at being one level above those types of people.
Whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
And this is like 98% of people that you'll come across at poker table, and probably for you guys near 100%. Because until you've really, really trained yourself to think, okay, what would this part of my range want to do? What would this part of my range want to do? You're a little bit face up, unless you end up just spazzing out and doing things that don't make too much sense. And this style of poker, which just destroys people who are a little bit face up, is going to be so popular. Alright, so we've got a raise from small blind 10-9. Wouldn't recommend doing this at home, but maybe she thinks Sheena's folding too much.
Checks top there.
And we got defend from 6-5 suited, very standard. Don't want to be 3-betting this, the stack bet. It's too strong for 3-bet. Too strong and not strong enough. And so now we've got a slot. Clubs, probably leaning towards a small bet. And the thing I was really thinking about there is how likely is it that we're going to get check raised? Because this hand, it just never wants to get check raised in a million years. But if we go small bet, we can consider blasting turn, or we consider checking back turn, depending on the turn. Checking is the other option, but I think just given that nobody in their right mind would be check raising here in Hagberg's position, then I think it's
The middle pair of the best spot. Definitely two really good-looking hands.
I don't know what this word means. Somebody correct me if I'm saying it wrong. But is the male commentator getting mobbed? I might not know what that means, but I've been seeing that word around. I got this. This is some brain dead commentary. Bro, don't you play poker for a living? How? I turned $50 into millions of dollars playing poker, and the difference between me and you, I get invited to a lot of private poker games. Despite being an incredibly competent player, you get invited to all of these different poker games, the highest levels, the highest stakes, despite your personality. I can tell within about 12 seconds of watching you play a hand that you're a whale. Your opponent is going to be relatively inelastic, meaning that they'll do the same with basically all of the hands no matter what size you bet. So if they have ace deuce of diamonds, for example, they're going to fold to 300k, 200k, they're going to fold to 800k. Whereas if they have like 10, 9, jack 8, 7, 8, pocket 8, they're going to call all of these sizes no matter what. And so essentially what you want to be doing here as a pure exploit is go big with value and small with bluffs against these types of people and these types of spots. Like genuinely listen to that 4 or 5 times if you didn't get it the first time, because that is one of the most valuable things that I've ever said on this channel. Hands.
Yes, science!
Impact version doesn't go anywhere.
What is happening? Bro, she gave second, first, and first, and she gets the 9 of clubs. This is unreal.
Just happened, did it?
Alright, so now we have to think, and welcome to the show. This is how you think about poker. You ask yourself 2 questions. I'm gonna drive this into your subconscious. You're literally gonna duck and go to the next lifetime, waking up in another baby's body. Or I know you guys are distinct, and you'll just have it. You'll just wake up and like,
whatever it is coming out like now.
What is my opponent training?
It'll be like your first word, because it'll be embedded into your soul's DNA. So what is the opponent's range? There's going to be a bunch of straights in there, a bunch of 2 pairs, a bunch of 1 pair and straight boards, a bunch of 1 pair and flush boards. So actually, you can go reasonably big. You don't need to go too big because you can get all in one order no matter what. But I'd probably size up to like 2 million. Yeah, that's a word for the soul. Enjoy that one. Look it up. That was reference to like 6 people in the entire watching the game. I don't know why I did that. Welcome to bad commentary by Charlie Carroll. Bad retention rates. Pushed out on that last one. She wanted to maintain the aura. Did you see that? She wanted to maintain the aura, so let the hand make it look potential.
Your powers are mine!
Knocking this hand down just for that. Alright, so she wanted 1.7. We'll give her 1.7. It's very good. In fact, you got small with M4 and big. It's a little bit mysterious, but it's a good. Yeah, you probably want to go a little bit bigger. Just again, the inelasticity again. Loads of down flushers, loads of these 2 pairs, loads of these straight. They're all just going to pull whatever size you go. And then you want to give them a better pot off and grid. I would probably not even shove them. I might shove the river actually on a break. I just remember this straight to as well. Hagberg has a straight.
0 to
such a huge
1.
percentage of the time when she calls the turn. Not huge. Maybe like 25 to 30% of the time, which is significant.
Wow. The check. Praise from expert.
That's my commentary. That's all I got. I got the inappropriately aggressive facial expression.
To the made flush of Okamoto.
I don't want to be rude. So, I would. So the question is, if you're Okamoto, so I'm gonna go. If you're Okamoto here, what do? Do you shove? Probably just shove and try and stack a straight. You don't stack a straight maybe if like a club comes on the river. That's the only thing. I don't think you're ever being bluffed here. I mean, I can't tell if this is a bluff or not, but I mean, I think you just have to go all in there. Yo, it's first and second and chips as well. The Alcorn is like, oh, this is amazing. There's a cooler happening. Hopefully it's flush under flush. Nope.
She looks so upset. But it's
That
not
is
real.
yeah.
It's not real.
I mean,
I agree with that. She does look a little bit upset. Jen's good at these reads. So there's 2 types of lifestyles in the way. This is very valuable information. So you can categorize lifestyles into two ways. You can get it vibes, based on facial expressions, just energy, stuff like that. Jen's very good at that stuff. She's picking up on these kind of things. The GOAT for this, I think, is Phil Ivey. I think #1 in the world. And Patrick Antonio is also very good at just like the vibes and getting people's energy. And then you have the kind of more categorical, describable, quantifiable, qualifiable things like, okay, their ear did that, their foot did that, or whatever it is, or this happened for this amount of time, that happened. That's where I'm at my best, and it's also the most easily teachable. In my opinion, it's the best kind. But Okamoto here, putting on what I can tell, I'm actually going to reach out to her, I think, and just ask if this is true. Or maybe I'm just seeing patterns and Jen seeing patterns where they don't exist, but it looks like very subtle fake tells. And subtle is the best way to do fake tells against most people, because most people see through it if you start going, you know.
It's just a slight difference from her normal poker face.
I mean, what's the little thought bubble there? It's like, really?
They have no chip defined behind the green chip.
No.
her English significantly better than all of our Japanese, so don't worry about that.
That's not a question. That's not a question you want to hear.
Yeah, you don't want to hear that. That's actually so true and so funny. When you're like, fall, please fall, or call with us. I don't really know what's going on. And you're like, how much have you got behind you? Like, not as much as I want.
And Steph answered like, no. She knows the odds. All in.
Oh, she dodged the snap. Imagine dodging the snap in this spot. If you don't know what that means, Google it.
Now, suddenly Hagberg.
This is why you don't check race. Oh, it's one of the 16 reasons that I could give you why you don't check race return with 10-9 here. You're almost priced into court. You're actually not. You're actually not priced into court. You have 3 million. And his ICM, no, you definitely, this is just a fault. Yeah.
Who had second place locked up almost, is in danger of losing her entire stack.
Oh, she started with 40 big blinds. Jesus.
If she were to call it off, imagine what a gift that would be for Heather Alcorn, who would suddenly jump into second place behind.
Well, she's happy not to hear a snap call.
I feel like she's trying to look slightly nervous.
Oh yeah, she's thinking that to a point. Her ranges are so wide, her raising ranges are wide, her betting ranges are wide, so you have two pair and you think it's good.
Heather Alcorn loving every second of this, and there is the...
Oh, I felt that in my stomach.
A call! Oh my! Okamoto with
Man, call me Charlita and put me in the next year's version of this tournament. This is nice.
the flush made on.
How do I went Charlita when I could be?
In June 2024, a 29-year-old man collapsed in an internet cafe in Wenzhou, China. His body sat in the chair for 30 hours before.
I always have a lot to say, Alex, but I would like to correct one bit of nomenclature here. When a law enforcement officer takes somebody into custody, that's not a kidnapping, that is an arrest, which is the most basic function of law enforcement. And I think on a broader point, it's worth noting that you judge the tree by its fruit. We've now had these riots for the past, month or month and a half, and so far, at least 25 people have been killed in those riots, not by the police. That is a number that is much higher than the number of unarmed black men who were killed by police officers during the entirety of 2019, which is ostensibly what kicked off all of the riots. So I think when we look around at the chaos on our streets, even over the past few weeks, we cannot tolerate this forever. The reason we have a civil authority is to maintain the peace, to maintain order.
Michael Knowles took on this woke idiot Hassan Piker in a very heated debate. You know, Hassan Piker, or, you know, Hasanabi, whatever you want to call him, he's not capable of having a debate that's not heated, because anytime these people get confronted by someone like Michael Knowles or Andrew Wilson or any of these other people who come just very calmly and with facts and reason and logic, they can't handle it because they don't have those things on their side. So they have to turn it into this, you know, personal attack, you know, calling.
There are plenty of powerful characters in Bleach. There are also plenty of fascinating ones. But Genryusai Yamamoto is unique because he represents something much bigger than himself. For 1,000 years, he was the symbol of the Soul Society itself, and that's exactly why his story ends the way it does. Today, I'm going to talk about the contradiction of Genryusai Yamamoto, a monster the Soul Society needed, and I'm going to use the words of characters from Bleach to do it. Like I said, for 1,000 years, Yamamoto was exactly what the Soul Society needed. That's also why eventually he became one of its biggest problems. This contradiction presents an interesting question. What type of leadership is required in the moment, and how does that evolve over time? Think about it. Yamamoto led the Soul Society during its infancy, its growth, and its eventual stagnation. But each of these phases requires different things. You can bring order to a system of chaos, and also become complacent or out of touch. Ask the boomers. The era he came from was anarchy, and he witnessed every possible consequence of that. It's only natural that someone experiencing the worst aspects of chaos would try to create a system that placed heavy emphasis on structure and discipline. Hell, it was necessary. But no system is perfect. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. Minor issues get exacerbated over time, and if left unchecked, can begin to rot. I mean, look at the government. That's what happened with the Soul Society. There's a lot of darkness to it by the time the series rolls around. Rukia's attempted execution is an obvious example that changed their world forever, but I mean, look at what they let Mayuri do. He faces no consequences for performing MKUltra level experiments. That is a result of the system Yamamoto created.
If women were working as nurses and still having 2.5 kids per woman, I would have no problem with it. Nothing you're addressing tells me what we're going to do about this.
Well, nothing you're pointing
how is
to
your-
says it all falls at the feet of feminism, right?
How are you
Typically
going to make daycare cheap enough that a woman can have 5 babies and work a full-time job? And why would you want that? I'll just grant everything you said. Agrippa's trilemma, whatever you want.
You guys want to solve the birth rate problem? Your actual enemy here today isn't feminism, it's modernization. Baby girl, you're gonna love when I go through your book, okay?
I love when she educates me
Alright.
and like, talks like with a dry Adderall mouth.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we have got a fantastic debate for you between Rachel Wilson, the feminist destroyer, and Kyla, not so erudite. Now, contrary to most feminist debates, where these feminists don't actually know how to make an argument, this was actually a very interesting one, and there were interesting points brought up. And then at the end, literally one of the best mic drop moments I've ever seen in my entire life. So with that, let's get into it.
I'm curious, what's the #1 correlate to declining birth rates in a nation?
Women's access to higher education.
Correct. Yes, women's access. It's actually everyone's access to higher education. So I'm curious, would you consider Saudi Arabia particularly feminist?
Not particularly feminist.
Qatar?
No. But no.
Okay, so the Gulf states also have declining birth rates, but feminism isn't causing that. What's happening there?
Because they've started.
Saudi Arabia, famous
Yes.
for feminizing. Qatar, famous for feminizing.
They have started letting women work. They've started allowing things like birth
Their
control.
birth rate's
It's
been
more
declining
subtle.
for a long time. Actually, it's below replacement now.
Yes, everybody in first world economies where there's urbanization, industrialization, as I explained, that's what enables feminism.
So isn't it urbanization that we're blaming here? Because I feel like there's an
not
interesting
until
thing.
you push women into the workforce and they stop having kids. Again, if women were working as nurses and still having 2.5 kids per woman, I would have no problem with it. But nothing you're addressing tells me what we're going to do about this.
Well, nothing you're
how
pointing
is
to
your-
says it all falls at the feet of feminism, right? What you're pointing
Why
to
do
right
the
now
women stop having babies?
because of modernization through increased education. Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia,
because they're-
I'm so sorry. As much as you might want to insist Saudi Arabia is feminist, it's certainly not. In fact, do you know why women in Saudi Arabia are pushed into education? It increases their dowry value. That's why. Because it's like
That sounds like an Islam problem.
Well, Victoria, England did this as well, where essentially they view proof of education as good genetic stock, so it makes that wife a more valuable woman. So
Right, but
I don't know
nobody
what's
had a
feminist
birth
about
rate
that.
crisis in Victorian England.
Well, the thing that you have to disentangle here is why is Saudi Arabia having the same problems that you're falling at the feet of feminism? And I'm saying it looks more like modernization might be the problem here. And Saudi Arabia certainly has both modernization, but it certainly doesn't have feminism. So you're going to have to answer the Qatar Gulf
CDC and the
problem.
United Nations both say that the main correlate for declining birth rates is sending women to college and sending them to work.
I didn't
And
disagree with that.
As a mother
That's just
of
not
5,
feminism.
As a mother of
necessarily.
5, you cannot have more than maybe 1 child and work full time because you have to outsource motherhood to daycare, which
Why?
is expensive. What do you mean, why?
Why do we have the runaway cost issues in America?
Runaway what?
Cost issues in America.
It's not runaway cost issues. It's the fact
not?
that
It's not affordable right now.
you
tougher.
can't make daycare cheap enough for it to offset the cost of a woman working full time. That's math. How are you
typically
going to make daycare cheap enough that a woman can have 5 babies and work a full time job? And why would you want that?
Well,
Why don't we want mothers? Any mothers here love having to send their kids to be raised by someone else all day? Do you
well,
guys
the question
like that?
again, you can narrativize, but the question I'm actually trying to pose you and get an answer to is, What changed in the 70s, as you claim, where women started becoming dual income earners? What changed in families? What was going on? And you were like, the gold standard.
Are you asking
that doesn't
what?
matter.
No, I'm telling you exactly what happened, and this is not me. This is the U.S. Department of Labor, the U.S. Department of Commerce. All the sources in my slides say that in the 70s, the reason was because we had a huge income tax deficit because of the Vietnam War. At the same time that they had passed birth control legislation making it legal, and not only that, making it free and cheap and socially acceptable. We had Roe v. Wade, now everybody can get an abortion, and at the same time, you start pushing through the culture through a massive propaganda campaign, through things like, remember the Stepford Wives movies, remember the Mary Tyler Moore show? The 70s were just saturated with girl boss empowerment stuff. I was born in 1980 with She-Ra and Madonna and, telling women that motherhood is a ball and chain, that the smart girls go to college and have their own money and they don't need a man. So you've got this cultural propaganda campaign. You've got government money subsidizing college, which is why it's so expensive, by the way. And then you've got birth control and abortion. Okay. So the trend becomes, go get your bag, go get your career. Men are icky and bad. They're going to abuse you. Children are a ball and chain that are going to hold you back. You need to go to work.
Sure.
And that's what women do. They
still haven't gotten an answer to the Gulf states. Seems like that one is just
still haven't gotten an answer to how you're going to do feminism with no more babies.
Rachel, you have to let me talk for us to have a conversation, right?
Okay, so this is an important part because essentially what the argument boils down to here is to what end is feminism contributing to the demographic collapse that we are seeing? Now, Kyla's argument here is that this is simply a product of urbanization and modernization. Now, modernization is certainly important, and she's not without a point. And it is necessary for what we're seeing, but it is certainly not sufficient. And feminism is the accelerant. With the Gulf states, for example, their female participation in workforce and higher education nearly tripled in under a decade. However, their fertility rates have not fallen as steeply as Western countries and Eastern Asian countries, and they're still meaningfully higher because whilst education norms and working norms are shifting, social norms like marriage and motherhood expectations and the family structure haven't shifted as much. What we're seeing in the West, however, is the structural change, plus the feminist ideology which completely reshapes the role of a woman and what a woman's life purpose is entirely. Career comes first, motherhood is not important and should be delayed or avoided. And then a good case study you've got here is Israel. So Israel would be considered the most modernized and most urbanized place in the entire Middle East. Yet the birth rates still sit comfortably above replacement rate because of the religious and cultural norms. So all this to say, modernization is certainly a factor, but feminism is the accelerant. And Rachel covers that here.
You completely made up this idea that my whole argument rests on something fundamental changing in the 70s. I'll just grant everything you said. Agrippa's trilemma, whatever you want.
Good one.
Birth rates have been on the decline since industrialization. I didn't say that no women ever worked before the 70s. I said that's the point where it really accelerated and took off and became mainstream, totally socially acceptable, the norm. Now, if you're a stay-at-home mom, that's the weird, creepy thing. That's when that changed. Doesn't matter. It started in the 1800s with industrialization, urbanization, and women going to work. Yes, that's when the birth rates began to decline. And the sexual liberation stuff, whether it's no-fault divorce, birth control pills, abortion, the overall thing and the only thing that matters in this argument is what are we going to do about demographics? Because it doesn't matter what they're doing in Saudi Arabia. It doesn't matter when the gold standard happened. It doesn't matter when or how women got into the workforce. We are now in a position where all Western nations are in the exact same boat, that when you shove all the women into the workforce and tell them this is what you need to be doing and focusing on, and you need a two-income household now to survive, no one has babies.
So a good point by Rachel there, but what's really notable here is that the debate itself is actually not about is feminism 100% the cause of the demographic collapse. The debate is whether or not feminism has done more harm or good. And the problem that Kyla has here is that her worldview, this liberal, progressive, feminist worldview, actually advocates for the very thing that they are arguing for right now, which is women entering higher education and the workforce at staggering rates, which inevitably collapses the birth rate and ultimately society. And she's actually conceded to this, that women's participation in the workforce and higher education pretty much wherever you look at it, is the number one reason why birth rates and demographics tend to fall. So at this point, Rachel is very much on the front foot in this debate because of all of the concessions that Kyla has made here. So now, Kyla needs to try and come up with a solution to this problem that fits within her feminist paradigm. And the solution that she puts forth needs to be stronger than what Rachel's solutions might be, which is trying to reverse the cultural effects of feminism and essentially trying to dismantle feminist progressivism. So let's see how that goes.
I'm not blaming every economic problem on feminism. I'm blaming one economic problem, the only one that matters, which is demographics.
Gulf states.
There's a lot of different, they still have
feminism.
above replacement because all the women
They
aren't
don't.
working.
They don't. They are under replacement.
I do the same way
they
that
are
Rachel didn't interrupt you on the
behind
last one. I want to give her the same.
The whole world is going this way. So all the countries that are still above replacement, which is only a handful, are trending down. And when those people, so you said immigrants, you're right. Saudi Arabia imports their entire workforce. We're trying to do that in the West. And what happens? Number one, all the places we're trying to bring immigrants from are now getting below replacement as well. So you're running out of other people to bring over. But two, when you bring those people over from those cultures where there's no feminism into the West, within one generation, their birth rate drops to as low as the native population in the West. So you bring someone over from Pakistan where the birth rate is still like one of the highest in the world. You bring them to the UK where there's feminism. You send their daughters to college and send their daughters to the workforce. They also only have 1.5 children per woman. So no, my claim, you're strawmanning me again. My claim is not every economic problem is caused by feminism. Of course not. But the one that is caused by feminism will be the only one that matters, because if there's no people, there's no future. And you still haven't told me how you're going to combat that. How are you going to have your first world feminist utopia where the men and the women both work part-time, everyone gets to stay home, however we're going to work that, everybody gets to follow their dreams and do what they want?
I think that's called a straw man.
How do we get to do that with below replacement birth rates? If women are working, they're not going to have babies, and that's the only part of my argument that matters.
Sure, yeah, I'm talking, so I can
Get
repeat
back
for
over
you.
to Kyla for 2 minutes.
I've responded to this multiple times, which again, declining birth rate is not feminism. It is modernization. This is why Saudi Arabia, as it modernizes, has a decline, which, by the way, is below replacement. Saudi Arabia's is like 1.7 right now. So no, they're not replacing themselves.
Quick fact check here, guys. That is actually not true. Saudi Arabia is at about 2.3 births per woman, and among the native Saudi population, without expats or immigrants, it's about 2.8. So they are replacing themselves at the moment, but let's carry on.
Birth rate decline is because as you modernize and give people more education, they choose to postpone marriage and they have less children as a result of it. It's really that simple, but that's not feminism. That is actually education, that's capitalism, and it's kind of the Protestant work ethic. Because if there's any system that tells you delay gratification, hustle and work hard, make sure you're a steward of the future, it's probably something like a capitalist system with economic incentive to grow, and a Protestant work ethic that says work, work, work. That's what you're actually contending with here. Does feminism have impacts on certain things? Yeah, I think it's made women particularly significantly more choosy in like their partners, for example. But if you look at these bad college women, for example, they're the group getting married more than anyone else since 2010. They are the highest population to get married. Their marriages last longer. They have a divorce rate that's way lower than everyone else, by the way. Their children are more successful. Their children contribute to the economy significantly more. I'd love to get those ladies having children more too. Let's invest in more technologies to kind of help them increase their window of IVF, but I'm sure you're opposed to that, right? There's all sorts. Let's get tax credits. Yeah, let's laugh at it. You guys want to solve the birth rate problem unless you actually have solutions that are about modernization, because your actual enemy here today isn't feminism, it's modernization, and we're never going back to monkey, so you may as well give up on that one.